There's a lot of debate going on the internet right now about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Is it Ghostbusters 4? Is it Ghostbusters 3? I think it's a Ghostbusters reboot. What's up, Throttlers? Aristotle Full Throttle here, and if this is your first time here, remember to subscribe, like, and share this video. And also, if you subscribe and comment, you have a chance to win a PS4 plus a video game of your choice. So I leave it up to you to decide to comment so you can win some free stuff. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. The Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer dropped this week, and it was pretty darn cool. And if you're anything like me, you kinda got choked up with the nostalgia, you were digging what they were throwing down. I loved this trailer. I was really excited. It got me pumped up because it took a whole different angle than the Ghostbusters movie that came out a few years ago that I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna somehow forget. Maybe it took place in a different dimension. Maybe we all got neuralized and it just goes away forever. The thing I really liked about this trailer is that it seems to be leaning into the creepier aspect of the Ghostbusters, because I don't know about you, but when I first saw Ghostbusters, the OG, I was pretty creeped out, as much as I was laughing throughout it. When I was a kid, I got about half the jokes, but I definitely got all the scares. When I got older, I definitely appreciated a lot more of the nuance of everything that was going on. When I was a kid, I definitely related way more to Egon than any of the other Ghostbusters. I thought he was the coolest. I was like, obviously he's the smartest guy in the room, and he knows what he's talking about. He collects spores, molds, and fungus. When I got older, I learned to appreciate Peter Venkman. When I was a kid, I just thought he was kind of a jerk. But then when I got older, I was like, oh, he's kind of a jerk. That's hilarious. But speaking of the spores, molds, and fungus, we see who is presumably Egon's granddaughter coming across Egon's proton pack, his spores, molds, and fungus, and his actual Ghostbusters jumpsuit, which gave me the chills, because come on now. Hopefully we get to see some Ghostbusters suited up. And when I think about Ghostbusters, I think about all of the lore that they created between Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, the two writers and stars, Ghostbusters, Egon and Ray, and Ivan Reitman came up with a whole world of fun stuff to play with. That's why it felt so real, because they really sold the fact that they were living in this world that, let's say, ghosts exist in Manhattan and they have to be exterminated. And Dana Barrett's building actually was built with all the selenium rods that were mined, presumably by Ivo Shandor in the Shandor mine that they show in Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer. So perhaps there is a cross-rip event going to happen in this movie. So be good, for goodness sake. And it seems like they're really leaning into that first Ghostbusters movie with Gozer and the Gozer worshippers and the demon dogs, Keymaster stuff, the symmetrical book stacking. I'm not going to get into all the details. There's plenty of videos out there on YouTube that kind of cover all of the Easter eggs. But I definitely noticed those things right away, and I thought it was a pretty good throwback to the original movie. Feels like the DNA of Ghostbusters is still in the movie, and it kind of literally is if you think of Jason Reitman being the son of Ivan Reitman. Who would know the universe better and more inside and out than those folks? So what did you think about all those callbacks? Did you think it was gratuitous? Did you think it was too much? Or did you think it was just the right amount to whet our appetite to see what more could happen in this movie? I'm hoping that a lot of the stuff in the trailer takes place in the first 15 to 20 minutes. Kind of reminds me of one of my favorite movies when I was a kid called Explorers. It had Ethan Hawke and it had River Phoenix. Basically, they are little kids who are pretty smart and intuitive, and they figure out how to put together a spacecraft, basically. And I have a hunch that this movie is going to take a few pages out of that book, because in that movie, Ethan Hawke is getting visions in his sleep and is actually writing them down, handing them over to River Phoenix, and River Phoenix is building what Ethan Hawke is dreaming about. Turns out they're building this crazy alien technology. If you ever get the chance to watch that movie, it is fantastic and has a phenomenal third act that you just do not see coming. Also, when you watch it, be 8 years old. Ghostbusters Afterlife looks like it's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be kids stumbling upon this technology. Perhaps they're being visited even by Egon himself from beyond the grave, because maybe Egon figured out how to come back as a ghost, because let's face it, he's the smartest guy in the room. And what's a Ghostbusters movie without some form of possession? Well, in the first movie, of course, you've got the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper, Zool. They have to come together to open the gate to Gozer. In the second movie, which I think is still canon, you've got Vigo the Carpathian sort of possessing Janusz and or Ray. It always seems to be the nice, nerdy, unassuming person who seems to get possessed. The Ghostbusters movie that came out a few years ago, it was Chris Hemsworth who got possessed. So Ghostbusters movies got possession in them. I'm guessing it's going to be Paul Rudd this time around. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Ghostbusters 2 is about 1/3 as good as Ghostbusters, which still makes it a pretty good movie, actually. There's a couple scenes in that are just phenomenal.
Does he ever mention me?
No.
The rest of the movie is shaky. But it was so great to see them all back again and where they were at 5 years later. Did you like Ghostbusters 2? Let me know in the comments. Remember, you can qualify to win if you comment. Also like the video, please. Thank you. Rumor has it that Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Annie Potts, Sigourney Weaver, and Ernie Hudson are all coming back and going to be in this movie in some capacity. Very interested in seeing that. Perhaps once the kids figure out how to use Ecto-1, they figure out how to use the traps. I'm wondering if there's going to be a moment where the kids are going to be fighting ghosts, they're going to be in over their head, and then Ray and Winston are going to come in and save the day. Perhaps they're still doing children's parties. I think this first trailer deliberately markets the movie as kind of a creepy haunted house movie with kids. So I suspect the movie's gonna be really funny. They're just marketing it right now as kind of this creepy movie. I'm excited to hear your take, how you feel about it. I was exhilarated, I was excited. I really want to see this movie now. Put it in my eyeballs. But what do you guys think? Let me know. I was pretty happy to read the IMDb credits list that Winston Zeddemore is now Dr. Winston Zeddemore because he has finally earned that PhD in paranormal activity after dealing with these knuckleheads for the last 35 years. And let's face it, if Peter Venkman got a PhD, the everyman guy that came up and just wanted a paycheck, he could clearly get a PhD as well. Another thing I really liked about this is it does have a lot of callbacks because why not lean into Zool and Gozer and Shandor and kind of flesh out that mythology, because that is what was set up, that's what felt so Ghostbustery in the first movie. So let's just add layers to that mythology instead of kind of coming up with something as cool. But then again, that's the nostalgia culture, and when you can come up with something new, why can't we come up with anything new? I have a theory about that actually. The advent of VHS is the reason why we keep getting all of the reboots and remakes starting pretty much around 1980. Because that generation is now making movies, and what did that generation do growing up but watch the same movies over and over again on VHS, collecting them? I'm going to talk more about that in another video later on. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Last week I asked you guys if there's a movie that you watch every Christmas that just gets you in the Christmas spirit, even though it may not have anything to do with Christmas. And Robert Medina wrote that he always likes to watch The Godfather and the Lord of the Rings trilogy around Christmas time because, hey, it just gets him in the Christmas spirit. And that reminds me of when the Lord of the Rings movies came out during Christmas time each consecutive years back in around 2000. That was such a cool tradition to do with me and my friends to go see the next Lord of the Rings movie those 3 years in a row. We were so pumped, so excited to see them, and it did really feel like Christmas time. And of course, The Hobbit came out during Christmas time 3 years in a row. Also, maybe not so great, but it did kind of bring back the feels of watching a Lord of the Rings movie during Christmas time. So you and me both, Robert Medina. Angelo mentions Home Alone as one of her favorite Christmas movies, and I have to agree, that one always gets me in the Christmas spirit. And I want to be a part of that family too, except I don't want them to leave me at home alone. And the Popcorn Passport says that he'd like to see a Ghostbusters movie about Ghostbusters called Ghostbusters. Me too. Busters. Reboo. And K. Ferg taking zero pity on my heating bill on account of living in Michigan during December. So I don't blame you, buddy. And A Christmas Story is fantastic. You'll shoot your eye out. And remember, to keep this show going, you can always donate to my YouTube channel or go over to my Patreon and pledge $1, $2, $5, $10 a month. It helps keep the lights on, and I really do appreciate it. I do have some t-shirts and stuff available, so if you guys want to check that out, you can go down to the description box and there'll be a link. I appreciate you guys watching these videos, I appreciate you guys sharing it, and I appreciate you guys spreading the word. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle, your bro in the know with the fro, and I'll see you later. The power of the fro. Reboo.